Yes, I'm doing another MCU video. I don't know what to tell you, folks. There's just been a lot of MCU stuff to talk about lately. So I did a video last year where I ranked all of the MCU projects in 2022, so I figured I'd do the same thing this year, so I'm going to be ranking all 7 MCU projects released in 2023. Now, unlike last year, I've reviewed the majority of these projects, so if you've seen my reviews of these projects, then this list is probably going to be very predictable for you, so you're probably going to know this list, but I'm still going to do it just for fun. So let's just get right into it. At number 7, the worst MCU project released in 2023, I think you all know, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Where to even begin with this movie? This is a complete failure on almost every single aspect. This is the type of movie that you show when you're trying to show someone what not to do when making a movie. So, because this Quantumania basically, it does everything wrong that you can do with a movie. Performances, special effects, comedy, writing, just everything. The tone is all over the place. The villain Kang is an absolute joke. He's set up to be this all-powerful, very intimidating villain, and he is completely wasted. He is defeated by Ant-Man in this movie, and that is just, it's a joke. It's honestly laughable. Like I said, the comedy is terrible. Some of the worst comedy in any MCU film. You got MODOK, you've got that alien guy who's obsessed with holes. What the fuck? Like, what? This is so bizarre. And again, the characters too are pretty terrible, the majority of them. Cassie Lang, I was not a fan of. Janet Van Dyne was terrible. Bill Murray is completely wasted. Bill Murray, this is probably going to be his only MCU appearance, and he is utterly wasted. He has one scene in this movie, and he was in the trailer. It also has the worst ending out of any MCU film. The ending is so bizarre, and it had me flabbergasted. I was staring at the screen in utter shock and amazement by how truly awful this movie was. Seriously, this is not only one of the worst MCU movies, this is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. At least one of the worst movies I've ever seen in a theater. And honestly, again, I still stand by my statement. If it wasn't for Jonathan Majors' performance, which was pretty much the only good thing about this movie, this would probably be on par with Spider-Man Far From Home, which is a movie I fucking hate. Far From Home is my least favorite MCU movie. And yeah, Quantumania would be on par with it if it wasn't for Jonathan Majors' performance. So yeah, I don't have much else to say. Movie's terrible. Do not recommend. Just skip it, honestly. At number 6 is I Am Groot Season 2. Unlike last year, I didn't forget about this. Last year I forgot to put Season 1 in my 2022 ranked video. I made sure to not forget this year. So yeah, Season 2. This was the only MCU project this year that I did not review, because it's not really something, I don't have much to say about it. It was a hard time. I would have a hard time reviewing this because it's a series of 5 short episodes, like around 5 minutes each. And yeah, it's meant for like younger kids, and it's, again, not much to say. I will say though, I did like Season 2 more than Season 1, and that's because Season 2 actually had some funny moments. In particular, a moment that I thought was pretty funny was in episode 3, I believe, when Groot is like building that snowman, and all of a sudden this snowman turns into a killer robot. It's very suddenly, and I thought that was actually really funny. That got a laugh out of me. and it's probably my favorite episode. Yeah, again, the snow episode was my favorite episode. What a surprise! But yeah, overall, season 2 again was funnier than season 1, and that's really the reason why I liked it more. There is going to be a season 3, I think, so hopefully that will be even better. So yeah, obviously not. There was other projects this year that I thought were better. At number 5 is What If Season 2. Now, I just talked about this, so I'm gonna be brief, but did not like it as much as most people did. I thought season 1 was much better, had better episodes, and also had more quality episodes. Season 2 did have some good episodes. It had a few good episodes, but the majority of them were either just okay or bad. And there wasn't even my favorite episode, which was episode 2, What If Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes. It was a really fun episode, but again, nothing that I would say is like absolutely amazing and is like a must-see. So yeah, I was disappointed with season 2, and I'm really hoping season 3 will be a lot better, because there's so many interesting stories they could tell, but they're wasting it on these just complete nonsense stories that I don't think anyone really cares to see. But that's just my opinion. I know that a lot of people actually did really like this season, and that's fine. I'm glad that people like this, but I just personally was very disappointed with it, and I'm hoping for better episodes in the future. At number 4 is Secret Invasion. This may surprise some of you, because a lot of people really did not like this show, and if you're someone who did not like it, I totally understand it, because there is, this show has many bad elements, but personally, I liked it more than most people did. Originally, I was watching the episodes as they were releasing, and I watched the first 3 episodes, and I really did not like it. However, during my viewing of the 4th episode, something happened that made me want to go back and just basically wait until all of the episodes were released, and then I would, rewatch the entire show. And I managed to enjoy it a lot. There's still bad things about the show. I think the main villain, Gravik, was a very weak villain, and the shit with him trying to get the Avengers' powers is just so silly and cartoony. So that aspect was just terrible. However, again, I liked the majority of the characters. I liked Sonya Falsworth. I think that's what her name was. Her character was entertaining and fun to watch. Again, it's not a great show. It's not a show that I would be, dying to rewatch, but I don't think it's one of the worst MCU shows on Disney+. Now, obviously, the finale was just horrible. I mean, the entire fight scene between Gravik and Gaia, just terrible. Their arms switching into different Avengers, and it's just so goofy. I'm sorry, it looks so terrible. However, I did like that the show had a pretty dark, consistent tone, and didn't resort to the same typical MCU childish humor that we're used to at this point. Honestly, there was some pretty intense graphic scenes. I especially want to mention the part where Sonya Falsworth is interrogating this Skrull for information and cuts off one of his fingers, and they don't cut away from it. You actually do see his finger get cut off, and it's bloody. Like, that one scene is more violent than anything we saw in Echo, which, again, this Secret Invasion was TV-14, and that one scene was more violent than anything in Echo, in my opinion. So, another reason why I'm just so surprised with the TVMA rating with Echo. But yeah, Secret Invasion, one of the plus sides about it was that it did get violent. So this next spot on the list is going to surprise a lot of you, and a lot of you are going to disagree, but I don't care. Number three is The Marvels. Yes, I actually liked this movie. I don't really understand a lot of the hate for this movie. Um, the only thing, really, I mean, one of the only things that I would agree on is the villain Dar-Benn. Dar-Benn is a terrible villain, and I absolutely agree with everyone. She is one of the worst MCU villains. However, I think most things about the movie are very good. I think that the three leads are very fun. Their interactions with each other are incredible. They're very entertaining, and the performances are good, especially that of Brie Larson. Again, I really haven't heard no one else mention that, but I think Brie Larson does a fantastic job in this movie. Iman Vellani is, of course, great as Miss Marvel. I really have to praise the Marvels for actually making me kind of laugh. Like, I don't usually laugh really anymore for MCU movies because a lot of it is just the same typical dumb childish humor over and over again, but the Marvels actually kind of made me laugh, so I do have to praise that aspect, and I appreciate that. I'm not saying every joke is gut-bustingly hilarious, but there was at least some jokes that I actually did like. It has problems, it's far from the best MCU movie, but you know what? I think it's underrated. I think that people just need to relax a little bit, and it's a movie that, like, you just have to have fun with. Don't take it too seriously. Especially, again, I mentioned this, but where they're on the singing planet and everybody is singing what they say. Yes, it doesn't make sense, but you know what? It was fun. It was entertaining. It was creative. Obviously, it performed horribly at the box office. I don't expect a sequel to this film at all. So that's kind of unfortunate, but again, and please, if you're one of those people that is hating on this movie, but you haven't seen it yet, I ask you to please at least give it a chance. If you watch it and end up not liking it, whatever. But if you're someone who is hating on this movie, even without seeing it, I just don't think it's very fair. So give it a chance, you might like it. But after all that, I knew that what my top two were going to be because nothing else came close to these top two. At number two is Loki Season 2. This was incredible. This really surprised me because when I first watched Season 1, I didn't see what all the fuss was about. I thought there was many good aspects of the show, but I just didn't really love it. However, when I rewatched Season 1 before Season 2, I actually ended up really liking it. And I ended up really loving Season 2. I thought Season 2 was even better than Season 1. I think Episode 3 was probably the weakest, but even then, it's still not bad. The last two episodes especially, 5 and 6, were amazing. The finale was one of the most engaging episodes of any MCU show. I think it was the best episode of any MCU show. Every second I was glued to the screen. This finale was so captivating. Like the line, the performances, the shots, I mean, it was beautiful. The finale is not only a great conclusion to this show, but is a fantastic conclusion to Loki's character. And if we never see him again after this, I would be okay with that. I think Tom Hiddleston is so good as this character. He does such a good job. Before the Loki show, he was always a great villain, but it wasn't until this show that we went into more depth with Loki's character. I've always liked Loki as a character, but after this show, he is probably in like my top 5 favorite MCU characters. Every single there's not one appearance of Loki where I thought he was bad. Every single appearance of his in the MCU is amazing. And again, it's not just Loki that has a great conclusion in this show. Every single character in this show has a good conclusion. They really knocked it out of the park with this finale and, you know, just this season 2 in general. And that's something that my picks for number 2 and number 1 both have in common, is that they are great conclusions to stories and to great conclusions to characters. And number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I had a hard time deciding what would be number 1. I knew that Loki Season 2 and Guardians 3 would be the top 2, but in the end, I decided that Guardians 3 would be number 1 because Guardians 3 had a more personal connection to me and was just more meaningful to me personally. What they did with the characters in this was great. Again, great conclusion. The villain is sadistic. This movie was dark, it was sad, it was funny. I think it does things for the MCU that it's needed for a long time. Rocket's backstory is told very well. Nebula, I especially liked in this movie. Mantis was great. The best performance in the movie. And what can I say about the ending? It's pretty much perfect. This ending concludes this era or this team of Guardians, and it sets up the future. And you know, it's perfect. This is probably like Guardians 3 is pretty much the end game of the Guardians movies. It is a conclusion, but also a passing of the torch. I still don't know how it ranks among the other Guardians films. I really don't know how I would rank the Guardians films. I just know that they are my top 3 MCU movies. I love the Guardians movies. They are the most consistent films in the MCU. It is by far the most consistent trilogy. It's going to be hard to top this trilogy. I even, you know, the next Spider-Man trilogy they're probably going to make a Spider-Man 5 and 6 as well. And, you know, they could do the most amazing things with the characters and the story, and it's still going to be hard to top the Guardians films. Guardians 3 is by far the best MCU project in 2023. Loki Season 2 comes close, but Guardians 3 is just more consistent and, like I said, had a more personal impact on me. Overall, I would say that 2023 was much better than 2022. It just had more consistent projects. And 2022 was just such a mixed year for the MCU. Unfortunately, 2024 is really not looking good for the MCU. We've already had Echo, which I just talked about. I didn't think was the best, but wasn't, you know, the worst. The only MCU movie we're getting this year, is Deadpool 3, and I'm extremely worried for that film. First R-rated MCU film, but it's under Disney. Like, that doesn't give me hope. I've already went off. I don't think, you know, Disney and an R rating do not mix well, and we've seen that with Echo, so it doesn't give me hope for Deadpool 3. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I originally was planning on having this up last week, but didn't end up happening, so, you know, better late than never. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good night.